Hello, welcome to another edition of IMO Bastani with me, Aaron Bastani, at Aaron Bastani on Twitter. You can comment on, like, share this content under the hashtag IMO Bastani. Thanks for watching. This week I want to talk about the tragedy, the catastrophe that is the British mainstream media and how they've covered the freight train, the phenomenon that is the Jeremy Corbyn Express. In the several months preceding his election, his anointment as Labour Party leader last Saturday, and in the week that's followed since, they've really shown themselves up in a particularly bad way. That's true not only for the right-wing press, as one would expect, the Daily Mail, the Daily Telegraph, the Express, but also with the liberal left media, the New Statesman, the Guardian in particular. In addition to that, there's also the BBC. So often we're told an impartial public service broadcaster. In reality, it's anything but. Right across the mainstream media spectrum, from the centre-left to the right, too often it felt like nobody was really interested in talking about the policies, the politics, the solutions that a Corbyn opposition and maybe even government might have to austerity, flatlining pay and a housing crisis that seems to have no end. Instead, the big names in the mainstream, again from left to right, were more interested in a character assassination of Corbyn, undermining his credentials and avoiding, at all costs, any discussion about the big problems that afflict working men and women across Britain every day. Now, a lot of people will tell you, myself included sometimes, that much of that is because of structural limits with the mainstream media in the context of the digital environment and the 24-hour news cycle. Those changes mean that media incumbents, the Guardian, the BBC, the Telegraph, the New Statesman, have to do more with less, that digital stretches them, that they have fewer staff who are asked to do more work than ever before. Now, while such analysis to some extent has its merits, it's true, I've said it many times, I would also add my own unique conclusion as to why the British mainstream media has been so terrible in regard to the Corbyn phenomenon. And it's this: many mainstream media journalists, particularly senior ones, are shit at their jobs. Look, Michael Crick in May was saying that Liz Kendall was going to win. She got 4.5%. You only actually have to look at what's happened ever since. I'm speaking on Thursday, but on Wednesday, Michael Crick tweeted 42 times about a story involving a Corbyn aide, who turned out to be a government driver, which was a non-story. This was a non-entity. Michael Crick is allegedly an award-winning journalist. He was probably in bed at 1 or 2 in the morning, you can imagine it, and Michael's wife was saying, Michael, please, stop tweeting about this story. It's a non-story, and he's going, no, it's a story. It wasn't a story, Michael. I'm going to give you just 8 names from the mainstream media, people that I think are terrible at their jobs, they're unprofessional, they're scurrilously terrible, spineless journalists. They shouldn't be in the public eye. Here we go. Allegra Stratton, Latimer School and Emmanuel College educated, married to the political editor of The Spectator, James Forsyth, who himself went to the prestigious Winchester College and Jesus College, Cambridge University. The 1%, that's how they're educated. Number 2, Andrew Marr, went to the finest public schools Scotland had to offer, of course. Number 3, Nick Robinson, went to Cheadle Hume, an independent school, before becoming a very, very important person for the Conservative students, but we can't talk about that because he works for the BBC. Number 4, Laura Koonsberg. Her great uncle was Sir James Robertson, the last colonial Governor-General of Nigeria. No wonder these people don't like to talk about the empire. Number 5, Robert Peston, the man who hasn't broken a story since Northern Rock 7 years ago. His very father is a peer in the House of Lords. Number 7, Jonathan Freedland, of the Guardian's Comment is Free, or as it's being called now, Comment is Freed Land, went to the same school, University College School. Number 8, Polly Toynbee, is the 4th generation of an incredibly eminent family on the British left. She went to Badminton School and then Oxford, despite only getting 1 A-level. 1 A-level, and then she went to Oxford. Now, why do you think Polly Toynbee, with 1 A-level, got into Oxford? How is that possible? I'm going to say, as was the case with Prince Charles at Cambridge, because of her family name. This is one of the big voices on the British left about meritocracy and social justice. And guess what? She got a passport to one of the best universities in the world because of her name. I could go on, I won't. The point really is this. In Britain, we are cursed with a terrible sediment of top-ranking journalists. I mean, they don't get anything right. They didn't call the SNP. Look, they were denying this was a thing until the election happened. They were saying that the Liberal Democrats would survive the catastrophe of the fees vote. Third time, what happens? Third time lucky. Jeremy Corbyn, they didn't see it coming. They were just in denial all the time, right? Jonathan Jones, Polly Toynbee, Michael White. As I said, the triumvirate of idiots at The Guardian were saying this was not going to happen. Well, guess what? 590,000 people registered to vote for the Labour leadership. 250,000 voted for Jeremy Corbyn. That's the biggest democratic mandate for any leader in British political history. Ever. Ever. Not this week, not this year, not this decade, not this century, ever. 250,000 people have voted for Jeremy Corbyn to be the leader of the Labour Party. And now, in the weeks since that's conspired, these same people, these same idiots, are saying, look, These are unhinged leftist loons. This is the Trotskyist militant tendency faction of the 80s. We thought we had reconciled to the history books and annals of, the Labour Party. This man could lead the party, potentially. It's not impossible. Now, this was a laughable claim a few months ago, right? To 1 million members before 2020. Suzanne Moore, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think you could do that? Martin Kettle, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think you could do that? Polly Toynbee, Jonathan Jones, Michael White, Michael Crick, Allegra Stretton, could you do that? No, you couldn't. You've been silver spoon-fed every day of your lives. You're good for nothing. You're not even good for journalism, and you need to get out. So what's my conclusion? My conclusion is this. A mass of muppets can't talk about mass movements. A collection of idiots can't talk about collective action. A plurality of puppets can't talk about political participation. Jeremy Corbyn is a sensation, and he has disrupted British politics, whether you like it or not, more than anybody else in generations. J. Corbyn on the block used to have a little, now he's got a lot. So what do you think? You know what I think? I think that much of the mainstream media, The Guardian, New Statesman, the BBC, the Daily Telegraph, is a cacophony of idiots. Why don't you put those thoughts down on the hashtag IMO Bastani, or reach out to me at Aaron Bastani or Navarra Media at Navarra Media. The weather isn't great, it's dark, but you know what? Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Those, my friends, are the winds of change.